Guys, so today we are going to talk about identifying parallel lines and identifying perpendicular lines. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. All right, so for parallel lines, so we today in the algebra review class, we talked about finding the slope and using the slope-intercept form. So we are going to need this for today's lesson. So parallel lines, so we know two lines are parallel if they have the same slope. So parallel lines have the same slope. And the symbol for parallel lines, we should know that one by now, is those two lines. Now perpendicular lines, so two lines are perpendicular. So now we will have if their slope are opposite reciprocal. So remember, so the symbol is this form. So remember, reciprocal, we've learned it when we are multiplying fractions, dividing fractions. So basically it's when we flip the number, but this time it has to be opposite. So the opposite just means if it is positive, now it's going to become negative. So that's what negative reciprocal means. So for negative reciprocal, what we do is we flip and change the sign. So for example, we have 3/4. So the negative reciprocal or opposite reciprocal will be negative 4/3. Again, we flip 4/3. We flip it. And then since it was positive, now it will become negative. 2, if you see whole numbers, go ahead and put them over 1. And now we are going to flip. And now we do, since it's positive, so now it's going to become negative. Negative 7/8, we are going to flip, and since it is negative, now it is going to stay positive. 1, again, put it over 1, so it's just going to become a negative 1/1, but we don't need to put the over 1. And then 0 will be 0. And then now when we do 0, now when we flip it, we're going to get we are going to be dividing by 0, so that's actually going to be undefined. Okay. All right, so that's a quick recap of parallel and perpendicular lines. Remember, parallel lines, same slope. Perpendicular lines will be negative reciprocal. All right, so let's go ahead and do some example. So here they want us to use the slope to determine if AB and CD are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So AB, let's find the slope of line AB. So remember, to get the slope, we do, again, you want to go ahead and label minus minus. So this is the slope of AB. Okay, so for the slope AB, so we have 3. So I'm actually going to put 6 in the front. So 6 minus 3, and then this 2 minus negative 2. So 6 minus 3, we get 3. Minus minus, this become a big plus. So the slope here is 3/4. So the slope for line AB is 3/4. Okay, now let's go ahead and find the slope for CD. So CD, again, so we can do 3 minus 0. and then 3 minus negative 1. So again, minus minus will become a big plus. 3 minus 0, we get 3, and then 3 plus 1, we get 4. So they have the same slope, so those two lines will be parallel. Okay. Okay, one more of this one. Let's go ahead and find the slope for AB again. So the slope is going to be, again, this is xy, xy. So we can do 4 minus 2, and then 5 minus 0. Now, it doesn't matter. You could have done 2 minus 4 and 0 minus 5. You will still get the same answer at the end. So we get 2/5 here. So the slope for AB is 2/5. Now, the slope for CD, again, xy, xy. So that'll be 3 minus 8. And then this 3 minus 1. So remember, x's go on top. So 3 minus 8, we'll get a negative 5. And then 3 minus 1, we get a 2. So the slope for line CD is negative 5 over 2. And if you look, they are opposite reciprocal or negative reciprocal of each other. So that means this line is perpendicular. Okay, so that's how we can tell if two lines are parallel, by looking at their slopes or perpendicular. All right, so now we need to determine, you form an equation if the lines are parallel, perpendicular, or neither. So this time we have equations. So over here, this is in slope-intercept form, so this is pretty easy. We know this is in y equal mx plus b. And m is the slope. So the number in front of x is the slope. So here for this, so the first line, the slope is 5. And the second one, the slope is also 5. So these two lines are going to be parallel. Okay. 18. So again, they are in slope-intercept. So the slope here is negative 3 over 2. And the slope for this one is 3 over 2. And we can see, oh, I'm sorry, it's 2 over 3. So here we can see that they are opposite reciprocal of each other. So here we are dealing with perpendicular lines. Okay, so here number 20 and 21, 20 here is in standard form. So all we need here is the slope. So to find the slope from standard form, so to find the slope from standard form, we need to solve for y. So we need to switch it to slope-intercept form. Rewrite it in slope-intercept. Or one thing we can do is do negative a over b. Okay, so we can do negative a over b. So in this case we have so x plus 2y equal 2. So here a is 1, so that's a. B is 2. Okay, so we do the negative, the opposite of a over b. So in this case, a is positive 1, so it's going to be a negative 1 over b, which is positive 2. So that's the slope. All right, so that just us preventing of completely rewriting the whole equation. Now for the second one, again, this is A and this is B. So we do the opposite of A, which is going to be -6. And then over B. And B here is -3. So be careful. So here we get a +2. So remember, when we divide negative by negative, we get a positive number. So that right there is a +2. And if we see, if we put a 1 below this, we can see their opposite reciprocal. So these two lines are going to be perpendicular. Okay. And this one here, we have x minus 9 equal 9. So whenever we do not see any numbers, remember those are 1. So this here, again, using this technique, -a over b. This is A and this is B. So it will be -1. And then B stay the same. So B here is -1. So here the slope is +1. So a negative and a negative, again, will give you a positive. And over here, this is already in slope-intercept form. So here the slope is 1. So these two have the same slope. So here we are dealing with parallel lines. Okay. All right. So here it says which line is parallel to the line shown below. So first thing we have to do, so this is an EOC question. First thing we have to do here is to go ahead and find the slope from the graph. So this graph has a slope 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. So the slope of the graph is 4/3. Okay, so please remember rise over 1. So we rise and then run. So y over x. Changing the y over the change in the x. So now we need to go ahead and check these. So all these are in standard form, which sucks. That means we have to change all of them to slope-intercept form. However, we know the trick. We can always do -a over b. So this right here will be 3. So I'm going to do the first one. Opposite of 3, -3 over 4. And so again, if we're looking, they want us to know which line is parallel. So we are looking, if they are parallel, those slopes should be the same. So we are looking for one of those equations, one of those lines that have the same slope, 4/3. So over here, it's going to be 3, -3 over -4, which is going to be a +3/4. Now, this one over here, C, is going to be -4 over 3. We closed, and then, so it's not these 3. So it has to be D, but let's check. So opposite of 4, and then over -3, and that will give us a +4/3. So check. So it's C. Okay. Now over here for 22, it says which line is perpendicular to the line shown on the graph. So remember, for perpendicular, the slopes need to be opposite reciprocal. So let's find the slope from the graph. So we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. So this slope is okay, so the slope, so this is going down. So when we simplify it, we get -2. So we are looking, since we want perpendicular, so now we need to find opposite reciprocal. So this has to be 1/2. So we are looking for a slope from these that is going to give us 1/2. Okay. So now looking at this here. So again, it's -a over b, since they are all in standard form. So the first one is 1. So a is 1. negative 1 over 2. We almost there, but that's no, because this one is negative and we are looking for positive 1/2. And then over here it's a 1, so then that will become negative 1 over negative 2, and a negative will give us a positive 1/2, so it's B. Okay, so line B will be the one that is perpendicular. Now we can go ahead and check the other one. C is going to give us negative 2 over 1. Remember, there's a 1 here. And D is going to be negative 2 over negative 1. So we are not going to get that positive 1/2. So we only get it from B. All right, so that's all for today. All we did was identify which lines are parallel to each other and which lines are perpendicular from each other by looking at graphs and by also looking at the equations. Okay, so all we have to do is find their slopes. That's it for today. Have a good one. Bye-bye.